this icon back in his house. We're here to talk about some CWDC TV. I think what I'm gonna do with these videos, this is a lot of shows. Like the CW there's six or seven shows, and then I'm doing Titans, and Arrow hasn't even started yet, or Legends of Tomorrow. So I'm gonna do 2 shows at a time. So this episode's gonna be about Supergirl and Batwoman, the premiere of Batwoman. We're gonna get right into it, talk about the good, the bad, predictions, and where we're gonna go. So let's get right into it, starting with Batwoman. So Batwoman: The Adventures of Kate Kane. I like the premiere. I liked the first episode. I enjoyed everything about it. I like the fact that right out the gate they showed her, training. So this way, when she finally does suit up, everybody's not like, okay, how does she know how to do all this? Her dad basically put her in the military. Well, she was in the military. Let me rephrase that. They kept her comic book story with her getting kicked out of the military for being lesbian. She much like Alex Danvers, she goes to Popeyes and orders the dark meat, and she was in love with this girl, from the army. The two of them got caught making out, which which is forbidden. Kate Kane basically quit, she got kicked out. They kicked her out of the army, or the government force, whatever she was in. She got kicked out basically. The girlfriend stayed, because she was just like, look, I'm black, I can't afford to get kicked out of here because I actually need this job, and I need this future, and then she told me, she was like, well, tell me you don't love me and I'll leave you alone. And then she was like, look, I don't love you, so she left her alone. It was complete BS, but it is what it is, and she had to leave. So then Kate, basically her dad put her in like a special ops program where she trained all over the world, with different types of people. She learned different training techniques and different combat styles, and she learned from like Eskimos on how to escape from like some of the worst situations. And then we find out in the episode that because her dad was very overprotective, because he lost his wife and she lost her, he lost his daughter, he basically had her go through all this training but never had any intentions on allowing her to join his special ops group, because her dad runs a special ops group which is in charge of cleaning up Gotham. Because Bruce Wayne, he's disappeared. Nobody knows where he is. The Batman's been gone. The criminals are taken over, and Kate's dad's, General Kane, I guess, his special force group, they're coming in, and they're taking over. Like they've got the city on lock, pretty much, and they're going to enforce the law. So. But Kate thought she was going to be a part of that. Like, she thought she was going to be on that team. And her dad admitted in the episode, he was like, listen, I was just going to give you like a nice, comfortable, desk job. Like, I never, he's like, I didn't want you out there because you're my daughter. So what happens is, this villain Alice, she sends like her minions to disrupt, because they were doing like a charity event where General Kane, he basically remarried after his wife and one of his daughters died. He married this Asian woman who has a daughter. So Kate has a adopted sister, a la Supergirl. She's very like blonde, bubbly, like, oh my god, social media, blah blah blah. And that's how she portrays herself. That's how she portrays herself. The mom is very like snooty, like, oh, we're high class, put your best foot forward, dear, don't be shown. So I already know that she don't even like Kate, because Kate doesn't represent anything that the mom, wants to go through. But Kate and the sister do have a decent relationship, but she always sees her as like an airhead, doesn't really like, I guess, like have a lot of like internal respect for her, but so then the charity event gets broken up by Alice and the goons, because Alice is she's the villain of this episode. And when the goons when the goons basically kidnap, I can't remember her name off the top of my head now. The goons basically kidnap the black girl that Kate dated when she was in the academy. The black girl, she's now a part of the dad's organization. She's a part of his special force group. So they kidnap the girl. And when Kate finds out, because her stepsister calls her and tells her that, she's missing, she comes back to Gotham to try to save the woman that she loves. She tries to talk to her dad. Her dad's like, Kate, stay out of this. We'll take care of it. And, Kate decides to go, she's just like, look, if you want to help me, I'll figure out how to do this myself. So she breaks into Wayne Enterprises, because her and Bruce Wayne are cousins. She tries to use the Bat computer, and then Luke Fox, Lucius Fox's son, rolls up on her, like, in Wayne Enterprises. She basically, like, beats him up, puts the handcuffs on him. And then she was telling him, she was like, listen, she was like, I'm Catherine Kane, I'm Kate Kane, like, I'm Bruce's cousin. And you figured, like, Luke Fox would know that, but he was acting like he didn't know that, and he tried to call security on her, and I'm like, dude, there's nobody in this building. So she basically, like, handcuffs him. She goes to the computer, she's like, yeah, the password's still Alfred, because, like, I'm his cousin, like, I know this. She gets the information that she wants, and then she breaks out. She goes after Alice. Alice kidnaps her, beats her up, has her tied up, and then, she tells, like, Alice basically tells Kate flat out, she's like, look, babe, we kidnapped the black girl because that's who your dad really cares about. Your dad doesn't care about you, like, she's the daughter that he always wanted, like, you're just an afterthought. And then they knock her out and they throw her in the trash. and then they leave her for dead. Kate has flashbacks throughout the episode about how her sister and her mom died. Her mom and her sister, they were all in a car together, and then a school bus full of children that we later on was hijacked and driven by the Joker, ends up running her family off the road. Batman shows up. He does like the bat cable thing. He shoots the cable into the car and then attaches the car to the bridge so the three of them can climb out, and then he left to go after the Joker. Kate didn't know that the Joker was the one driving the bus. She just thought Batman just put the cables on the car, and then he just bounced, and he didn't even really care to come back to try to save them, which was really weird. So then Kate's the first one who gets out, and then after Kate gets out, the cable breaks, and then the car falls into the ocean, and then that's how her sister and her mom died. And so she never, and then she even said that later on they said that Bruce never found he never found, like, her sister's body. He never, he searched and searched and he never found it, which was pretty sad. So then Kate wakes up after getting knocked out by Alice, and then she finds out that her stepsister has, like, this underground medical railroad that she's been doing. It's like it's basically an illegal clinic, and she said that she's going to school for medical, and she's stealing stuff from her school to help treat these patients that live in Gotham. And then Kate's like, wow, like, you're actually about something, and this is really cool. And she's not even seeking attention. Like, there's no social media, there's nothing about it. She's just genuinely doing this because she wants to help people. So she will definitely be a character that's going to be a part of the show, because she's going to have to be the one to patch Kate up when she ends up going through all her Batwomanism. So then Kate goes back to her dad. She tries to tell her dad, what she found out. Her dad's just like, all right, we'll handle it. And then he tells her, stay out of this, Katie. But then she goes back to Wayne Tower because she's like, look, I'm gonna save homegirl, on my own. Like, I'm gonna save her myself. So she goes back to Wayne Tower, and then when she's talking to Luke, she realizes that there's a statue on Bruce's bookcase that's out of place, because she was just like, Bruce, I used to come to Wayne Tower all the time as a kid, and I used to always hang out with my cousin Bruce, and this statue was always pointed here. And then she sees, like, a little indent. She puts the statue where it's supposed to be. She locks it in, and then the Batcave opens. She goes downstairs. She sees the Batcave. She's like, wow, Bruce all this time was Batman. And then Luke is like, yeah. And then he even told her the story about how he was like, Bruce didn't abandon your family. He went after the Joker. He thought you guys were safe. The cable breaking was an accident. And Bruce searched for your sister, for years. And it always broke him up inside that he could never find her. And then he's gone now, so there's nobody left to protect the city. So then Kate's like, well, you know what? If my dad doesn't want to assist me, if Bruce is gone, I'm just going to put on the Bat costume, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to save this chick myself. So she goes out to save the girl. She has the full-blown Bat costume on. She doesn't have the red hair yet. You could tell the suit was, like, a little loose-fitting on her because obviously it wasn't designed for her. She goes out there. She beats up the bad guys. She saves the girlfriend. She goes flying through the air. kids see her, they're like, wow, Batman's back, like, Batman's back, mommy. Because since they don't know she's a woman, everybody assumes she's Batman. Only the girlfriend knows that that's not Batman, because when Kate saved her, she looked at her and she can clearly see that was a woman and it wasn't a dude. So far, Luke Fox and the black girl are the only two people that know that the new Batman in town is actually a woman. Kate ends up, talking to her ex after she saved her, just to be like, hey, I'm back in the city. She finds out her ex is married to a guy, which hurt. And then Kate leaves, and that was it. So we didn't get the red wig yet, because we haven't gotten to the point where Kate is tired of people thinking she's Batman and she just wants to have her own persona. We haven't gotten to that point yet. But that's coming in the next episode. So then at the end, Alice, the villain Alice, she's sitting down, like, in her room, and then she's looking at a picture of her, and her sister, and then we find out that there's a point where there's a point where Kate thinks about it, and she looks at, like, the knife that Alice had, and the knife that Alice had was the same logo, was the same necklace that Kate always shared with her sister. She puts two and two together, and then we find out at the end that Alice is actually Kate's long lost sister, and she's going to be the villain, and I assume the big bad throughout the entire season, which means Alice isn't going to jail no time soon, and she ain't getting killed. So that was it. That was how the episode ended, and that was it was really cool. I like the action, and I said this to a couple of people that Arrow is ending this season, which is breaking my heart, but the way the action is, and, like, the dark tone, and how the Batwoman show seems to be so far, it'll be a good replacement for Arrow. So if you miss your Arrow fix, if you want to get that, because I know the Flash and Supergirl and Legends, they're the fun shows, but if you still want that gritty, kick-ass, like, vigilante type stuff, Black Lightning and Black Lightning and Batwoman are the two shows that people can go to fill in that Arrow void when Arrow is eventually gone. So for the Supergirl premiere, it starts off, it starts off, with the dream sequence, well, which we thought was a real sequence, well, not a dream sequence. Lena Luthor is on this tear this year where she's going to start using technology to incorporate into society. She's going to rely more on technology. She's going to do more things technologically advanced. She has her own Alexa, I guess you could say, her own Alexa, who's who gives her advice, and she's like, I trust you because you won't lie to me because you're a computer. And she's created this virtual reality, these VR, like, contact lenses or whatever. So she's creating simulations, and the simulations that she's actually creating for herself are, she's trying to learn how to beat Supergirl. She's doing these virtual simulations where she's kicking Supergirl's ass. And I actually thought that was pretty cool, because right out the gate she, like, punched her in the face when Supergirl tried to talk to her. So and then when I found out that it was just a VR thing, I was like, ah. But her goal is pretty much, because this episode was basically based around Lena and Kara. Her goal was to, she wants to make Kara hurt. She spoke to someone earlier, and actually I think it was her Siri or her Alexa. She told them, she was like, look, I'm not a villain. Kara hurt me, and I'm a Luthor, so I'm not a bad guy, I'm not a villain. But all I can do is just use my own means to figure out how to hurt her back. Because Lena's hurt. Like, she's not mad. Like, Lena doesn't want world domination. Like, she's basically a woman with hurt feelings, because she feels like her best friend betrayed her. The silly thing about it is, the way Lena Luthor is, you would think that she'd be smart enough to know why Kara kept the secret, but she's like, I'm a Luthor, so you don't keep secrets from me. And then towards the end, Kara was getting a Pulitzer, and Lena was the presenter for the Pulitzer. Kara struggled the entire episode trying to tell, she struggled the entire episode basically on whether or not she should tell Lena, that she's Supergirl. And it weighed on her throughout the entire episode, and then towards the end, right before she went on stage, and she was ready to, when Lena was ready to introduce, Kara to receive the award, Kara started crying, and she told Lena that she loves her as a friend, and she doesn't want to lie to her. And you would think after that, like, Lena would feel better and be like, wow, like, she finally confessed and she admitted it. And then even later on, Lena told her, she was like, listen, if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna continue to be friends, there must be no more lies and no more secrets. And Kara was like, sure, I got you. I won't lie to you again. And then Lena's like, yeah, to hell with that chick. Like, Lena's basically still scheming on her, so it's like she's still trying to, like, hurt her. She's still trying to damage her, which I thought was kind of jacked up. Because the girl basically apologized for nothing. And Lena Luthor is slowly becoming the villain. I think she will be the villain. She'll be the big bad of this season. So that's where it's at. So Kara thinks it's all good, and Lena's still plotting her revenge. There's a new woman now who bought Catco. Lena basically sold Catco to this woman out of spite because she knows how much Kara cares about Catco. And that's pretty jacked up because James also works for Catco, and her and James were getting it on. So I guess her and James aren't a thing. They never got back together because she basically, like, in her efforts to try to hurt Kara, she flat out, excuse my French, but she shitted on James basically to get at Kara as well. And the woman who took over Catco, she's not even interested in making it like a media thing where it's not well, let me rephrase that. She's not really interested in making it about journalism, about the truth. She basically wants to make it a media outlet where it's like a gossip column where it's just like whoever gets the the big, it's all about getting the big story, not the right story. It's all about getting the shock value, not the truth. And James flat out was like, listen, like, I'm not with this. And in the words of Icon, James gave out his badge and was like, yo, I'm out this biatch. And he quit. He flat out quit. And then she was like, but you're under contract and you'll never work in journalism. And he was like, bitch, I'm James mother-loving Olsen. He's like, I'll come up with something else. And we'll see. I'm interested to see what his backup plan is. I would actually like to see someone don the Guardian costume, because James did dress up as Guardian towards the end when they had the final battle. Everybody showed up, and they even had a funny moment where, like, it was Supergirl, it was Brainy, it was Dreamer, it was Jean, it was James as Guardian, and then Alex comes tripping in talking about how do you guys get dressed so quickly, and I thought that was pretty hilarious, and then she ended up fighting in the dress. But yeah, for James, I mean, I want to see where James goes. What he'll get into this season now that there's no now that he's not in charge of Catco. I mean, to be honest, now that he doesn't work for Catco anymore, he's free to be Guardian 24 hours a day until he decides what he wants to do. So we'll see what happens. But if he does give up the Guardian costume, because Makad Brooks is supposed to be leaving the show this season, if he's going to leave the show, I do hope they cast another actor to take over as Guardian. Maybe Mal Duncan, who knows, maybe we'll get Mal Duncan. Alex this season, she's still dating Kelly, so when Alex goes into Popeyes, she still orders the dark meat, so that's good. And I like Kelly. Kelly actually works for the woman whose name I can't remember, who bought Catco. So Kelly, she's a part of the show. Like, Kelly's not like a recurring character. Like, Kelly's here. Like, she's here to stay. She works right below Catco, so she'll be coming up and down the stairs. Kara is still working for Catco because she told that woman, you ain't gonna fire me until I have a chance to quit because I'm gonna report the news and you can't tell me what to do. And then she was like, all right, do what you want. And she stood up to them. The Dreamer Brainy relationship is still intact. A little bit of turmoil because both of them are quirky as all hell, and Brainiac, being part robot, I guess, doesn't really understand human emotion. So it's like he likes her, but he doesn't know how to express it. And they pretty much just had a conversation about holding hands and why they're not, taking their relationship any further. So that'll be interesting to see if they last, throughout the course of the season. So Jean, he's been tortured throughout the entire episode by this little girl, and we find out at the end of the episode this little girl is Malika Ak, which is his brother. And Jean actually doesn't know. He's like, I don't know who you are. I don't have a brother. My father didn't have another kid. So you gotta wonder. I feel like he does know that's his brother, but maybe he got maybe his father wiped his memory so he wouldn't remember his brother because he had to lock his brother up. There's something deep here. And the actor who played John Jones in Justice League, who also played John's father for the last couple of seasons, he's coming back. Like, he's coming back because there's gonna be a moment where Jean reaches out to him, and then he's just like, hey, tell me what's going on with this guy who thinks who says he's my brother. And then we're gonna get the whole story. Who knows? Maybe he's from another dimension. I mean, he might be from another dimension because we're doing Crisis stuff this season. But I honestly think it's gonna be a result of maybe his dad just wiped his memory clean, so he wouldn't remember that he's the one that actually locked his own brother up in jail. But definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see where the Malika Ak thing goes because it's kind of cool because Jean's whole thing is kind of separate from everyone else's. So he has his own story he has to go through. No turmoil yet with Alex or Kelly. Said James still has a decision to make. Kara, Brainy and Dreamer, they're steady. Kara and Lena have their whole thing. And like I said, Kara thinks it's all good, and Lena's setting her up for the fall. So good start to Supergirl. I definitely like how Supergirl started so far. So that's actually really cool, and it gives me, because I loved last season of Supergirl. I thought it was awesome, and this one's starting off promising too. So we'll see where the ride goes from here. So that was it. First time doing CW reviews. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I can't wait for the next episodes for Supergirl and Batwoman. Keep it locked. I'm also going to do Black Light and the Flash coming up next, and then when Legends and Arrow starts, I'm going to do those as well to say goodbye to Arrow for the final time. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Until next time, as always, I'm out this bitch.